Dandelion couldn't take his mind off of her. Anastasia was talking with Rebecca along with other horses, and all Dandelion could do was stare at the mare's beauty. Dandelion needed this in his life. Mitzi noticed this look on his face, and he had told him that she had told him that he was in love, and there was no denying it. Dandelion felt like he was in a dream, watching Anastasia. He was only making sure that no one ever dared to hurt her, as he was going to make sure it stayed that way. Dandelion was slowly approaching Anastasia, as in asking her if she would be his mare, meaning to ask her to be his girlfriend. Once Dandelion approached Anastasia, she both left Rebecca and the other mares to see Dandelion near her. Dandelion, I didn't know you were approaching me. Are you doing okay? She asked him. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I just want to check in on you. Dandelion replied as he followed Anastasia to where she was going. Wait, Anastasia, where are you going? Dandelion followed Anastasia, unsure of where she was going to be, so he followed her. Anastasia walked towards a pear tree, which the pears were on the trees, and they were also in the shade to be away from the sun. Dandelion caught up to her, curious as to what she was up to. I'm at this pear tree. What is it? Anastasia asked. I want to ask you something. Do you have a stallion friend? Dandelion asked. No, I've never had a stallion friend in my life. In English, you mean, is me having a boyfriend? To which the answer is no. Anastasia answered. She never ever thought of dating, but she did thought of meeting someone one day in her life. Well, I was just wondering, that's all, Dandelion replied, as Anastasia moved closer to him. Have you ever had a girlfriend? She asked him. I never had a girlfriend in my life, Anastasia. It's because I had to follow my father's footsteps to become the leader that I am now, Dandelion explained. As Dandelion never had a girlfriend, he may get the chance to claim Anastasia as his girlfriend. The same could be said for Anastasia. Since she and Dandelion were getting along well, this may be Anastasia's chance to have Dandelion as her boyfriend. The two were eating the pears from the trees they were close to. In fact, Mitzi was watching everything from herself at a distance. Seeing her son and Anastasia along was a blessing. Even Strider would approve if he saw this to be the case. Say, Anastasia, would you be my girlfriend, or in this case, my mate? Dandelion asked. Of course, Dandelion. I was going to ask you the same thing of you being my boyfriend, Anastasia replied, as the two horses nuzzled their noses together. That night was when Anastasia and Dandelion were alone together in the field. It was one of their dates, since Dandelion wanted to make his mare special, and that she was his mare. Now, if a stallion were to try and claim her, they were going to deal with Dandelion chasing them off. The night was beautiful, with the moon shining bright, along with stars covering the sky, making their night extra special. The two horses were walking through a path filled with flowers on each side, making their night extra special. Side by side, they walked down the path, making sure both horses were together. Dandelion and Anastasia both ate some grass together on a path not far from the path they were on. They even galloped around the meadow together. Since it was just the two of them, they were happy that no one else was around and tried to ruin the fun. They made the night the best of it. As they were looking from the land below them, they watched from the edge of a cliff where they could see the whole world from their perspective. Everything was quiet and was only illuminated by the moonlight. It was a lovely sight to see at night, and Anastasia nuzzles Dandelion as he did the same. They were really in love with each other. I love you, Dandelion, Anastasia said to him. I love you too, Anastasia, Dandelion replied. After they both watched the world from the cliff, they ended up heading back towards the herd to settle down for the night to sleep. Since they were both on their way back, Dandelion agreed that he and Anastasia would both find Emily together, even if the herd isn't with them. By the time they got back, the horses, even Mitzi, were happy to hear that Dandelion and Anastasia were in love. The horses congratulated them on becoming a couple. Anastasia wondered if this is what it would be like to be dating someone. Well, there is a first time for everything. That was something Anastasia knew, and she knew that this was going to last for a while. Anastasia woke up to hearing sounds of leaves crunching on the ground. It startled her since it was a loud one. She stood up to see if she could find who or what was making the sound. It was scary to her to think a predator was nearby. Whenever she was at the barn, she never felt scared since she was always inside the barn during the cold months. The warm months, she slept outside in the pasture. She felt safe since the pastures she slept in were fenced in to prevent any predators from trying to hunt for food. Anastasia looked to her left by the pear tree to see a bear. She neighed loudly, getting the horses their attention. At first they were annoyed as to why she woke them up, but when they saw the bear, the horses freaked out. Rebecca, the older mare, charged directly at the bear. She was rearing, bucking, and even kicking to try and chase the bear away. However, the bear slashed and clawed on the older mare, overpowering her quickly, knocking the older mare to the ground. All the horses could do was watch as the bear tore into the Highland pony's flesh. They didn't know what to do. That was until Richard took the risk with Brownie and Spades, charging towards the bear to try and free the older mare. "Leave her alone!" Richard snorted loudly, as he started to fight with the bear along with Brownie and Spades. The fight between the stallions and the bear lasted for a few minutes. Eventually the bear ran away to get away from the herd. Seeing that the herd was bigger in numbers and even stronger as well, the bear took off, and as soon as the bear took off, he ran as fast as he could to get away from the horses. Once the bear was inside the forest, he was never being able to be seen again. Anastasia and Dandelion headed for Rebecca to find her injured seriously by the bear. There were slash marks as well as bite marks. Some flesh was torn off by the bear. Rebecca was too even weak to get up, and while she did try to fight the bear off, but since she was an older mare, she stood no chance against the big predator. "Rebecca, I wish you didn't have to fight the bear on your own," Anastasia said, making the Highland pony look up at her. "I tried to do what I had to protect the herd," Rebecca said weakly. Since she was slowly dying, the injuries were fatal since the bear had done some damage to her nerves and major systems. "Come on, Rebecca, you can't die," Dandelion replied, hoping that Rebecca would be okay. "I'm afraid my time's come, Dandelion. I need you and Anastasia to be safe in the herd." Rebecca coughed as she lay down by her side. Never in her life Anastasia never watched anyone die before her eyes. However, this was the first time seeing death for herself. She had just seen a few horses being taken to the vet whenever they were injured or sick, although some of them never came back. With Emily, she understood what she meant by not coming back, but she hated to see death for herself. But it was happening right before her eyes. "I will, Becca. You can't go," Dandelion sobbed, as he tried to cry after her, hearing Rebecca taking his last breath. All Anastasia could do was cry on him as he cried on her. All the horses moaned for their loss of the Highland pony, lost to the claws and teeth of the angry bear, the biggest predator of Earth for all the horses. They may have thought that the cougar, the mountain lion, or a pack of wolves were the top predators of Virginia, but the bear was just overpowering those animals, and as the horses mourned for their loss of their friend, they did a funeral for the old mare the next day. The only good thing that came out of Anastasia warning about the danger was that the other horses were aware of the predator trying to attack the horses. The next day was a very quiet one. The horses left the field after the funeral for Rebecca. Sure, the Highland pony was nice and a kind mare. She was wise and was always ready to help someone else in need, despite her being the oldest mare of the group when she was alive. However, with Rebecca gone, the herd would have to go on with their lives. They continued to travel through the farmlands of Virginia until they stumbled upon a series of farmlands. It was all familiar to Anastasia, and Dandelion could tell what she was seeing. "These are farmlands," Anastasia said, looking around the farmlands, when she saw a few new humans roping wild horses on the other side of the field, signaling that something wasn't right. "Run!" Anastasia shouted, as the herd ran out of the farm, knowing that there was danger in that area, and they had to get away and not take chances. After running away from the farmland, they stumble upon a stream where horses can walk through or jump over it. Some of the horses walked through the stream, while the others jumped over it without risking of hurting themselves. While they got to the other side, Anastasia and Dandelion looked to see a decent-looking meadow with a rocky terrain. Some of them were dens for wolves, but the funny thing was that there was no wolves in the area, so the place looked very abandoned. The horses thought that the dens were big enough for some of the smaller horses. However, they were fine with them being out in the open and in smaller groups. Anastasia and Dandelion were exploring the area since it was very new and they would want to check out the area before deciding what to do or where to go. As soon as Anastasia and Dandelion looked around, they saw the place that had some fresh grass to eat as well as a large lake about 25 feet away from where they were standing. "Wow, this place could be our home," Dandelion said, looking at Anastasia. "I guess we could stay here, but I can't figure out where my home is," Anastasia replied. "I'm sure we'll find your way home soon. Let's just relax here for a bit," Dandelion suggested. The afternoon was chill for all the horses. They were enjoying being safe from all the dangers in the outside world. They were safe from the predators in groups and numbers. They were also safe from the men on horses capturing others. Since they already had nothing to worry about, Anastasia, along with the rest of the group of horses, felt that they really felt safe from danger. They were enjoying themselves, and they were even out doing their own thing. However, they were happy not to be on the run anymore, although they were still sad for the loss of Strider and Rebecca. But deep down, they knew they were watching them from heaven, and knowing that they weren't alone, Dandelion and Anastasia were spending more of their days together. They were really enjoying their relationship being close. Whenever Anastasia went somewhere, Dandelion went with her. And when Dandelion went somewhere, Anastasia followed him to make sure that they kept each other safe.